Yeah, I'm still chewing. I had me a snack, man. I've been running, burn some calories. I've been outside. It's cold. Yeah,
Cold.
yeah. I've been playing plumber.
Well, that's what you get for not living up here where we bury things deeper.
Well, it was very pretty good. I said I still
Obviously
think
not
my
enough.
trash guy. I think my trash guy got it the other night, but I can't say for sure. But it broke its slap off, like where the brass and the plastic came together. Just I'm talking about like when I dug it up, the pipe was sitting in there like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know what happened to it. So, but folks that live in Alabama or Florida understand that all we have is like these little dome shaped little plastic things. They're about that tall, and they put that on top of the meter. But there's like little cutouts where the pipe runs through there. And so if you run over one of those, it shoves that thing down in the sand. Well, you know, the pipe can only bend but so much until it breaks. And that's what happened. And then the threaded part that goes into the metal part just snaps. And it snaps off inside your $80 brand new regulator that you just bought. But I come up with, my wife looked at me kind of funny when I grabbed a saw wrench, and she's like, what? But I heated it up with a propane torch and held it with some pliers. I took a hammer and I drove it into inside the metal part. And then I pulled it out, of course, and sprayed it with my little spritz bottle with water. Yeah, basically, I made a wrench for these threads. That's right. Got it out of there. I told her, I was like, sometimes I amaze myself at how creative I can be. But she says she's just glad she didn't have to buy a regulator.
We just put all that stuff below the frost line. Don't worry about people running them over. So,
well, if it had been like where my water line is I think that the trencher that I rented would go down to 26 or 28 inches. That's as deep as the trencher would do. So my water line from the road to the house is about 26, 28 inches down. But right there where it connects to the county water, you literally can only go as deep as that little box is. So like that's because they got to be able to, you know, they used to look in there at the meter. Now they drive around with a little computer. Yeah. But anyway, we got water again. My wife is happy because when we went to leave, we're going to go to Tractor Supply to get some more propane for my little heater out here. And we pulled up at the end of the driveway and she's like, oh no, we got a problem. And I was like, what? And I look over and the ditch in front of the house is like water running down through there. And it hasn't rained here today. And I was like, there's only one place that can be coming from. And yeah, it was coming straight up out of the box that the water meter sits in.
Now, was it before or after the meter?
Oh no, it was on my side. Because on their side is like they got some kind of flexible, like blue flexible pipe. Yeah. It's almost like a water hose. My side's PVC, so it was on my side.
So you got to pay for all that ditch watering.
Do I know?
So you got metered for all that ditch watering?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I paid for that. That's what I told Brandy. I was like, because she was bragging the other day about our water bill wasn't what it usually is, and I told her, I was like, well, it probably won't be cheap this month. Which I'm hoping that if it was the garbage guy, which I think it may have been, because I think it had been running for a little while underground, but it just took a while for the ground to saturate to the point to where it come to the top. But that was Friday night when he came to pick the garbage up. So, and it wasn't completely like popped because we've been taking. I had just like this morning got up, took a shower, everything was fine. Like we haven't noticed a drop in pressure, nothing. And it was just we had a small lake down there by the road. And it wasn't there because I had a visitor today. My brother-in-law came by, and he thought that Biscuit had a bad accident because he saw him down on the side of the road, down like right down from the house, laid in the ditch when he came to visit. And so he come up here and he's like, "Hey, I don't know how to tell you this, but Biscuit's down here on the side of the road." So I was like, "Oh, well, let's go check on him." So we'll go down there. Yeah, he's just napping in the ditch. Him and Gravy, they done found a dead deer, and they were playing with the dead deer, napping in the ditch. So,
yeah.
Just doing what livestock dogs do, chasing coyotes all day and night.
Well,
But yeah, it's been an eventful day today. Didn't get nothing in the shop done that I was wanting to get done because of everything that's happened today so far. So we're gonna start tomorrow and try again.
yeah, well, I had some other things interrupt me part of this weekend, but I did get some things done. One of them's back there still kind of, it's under the clamps of paint cans.
Clamps of paint using gravity clamps.
Yeah. I guess they're probably more cans of stain, but yeah, I got that gluing up, and I also cut out. So I was doing some more office stuff for my at work. Figured I'd have to exercise the working area of the P3. So,
oh, look at you! Like you straight out of an X-Tool commercial now.
well, this was a file actually that a person had put on the X-Tools kind of library or whatever they call their.
I've seen that one in somewhere before.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like that whole geometric design, and so it's a wolf. And I thought about filling in some of the spots, but I figured if I started that, I'd have to do them all.
So OCD would kick in. You'd have to do the whole thing.
But it's just some 1/4-inch plywood, and I used some Varathane whitewash. It's a gray whitewash type stain, just to kind of. I like that it leaves a little bit of grain showing through, but it gives it that nice gray color. The other gray that I had would have been way too dark. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that cut out nice and cleanly on the P2. I had a couple of spots where it hit, the glue pockets and whatnot, or the P3. Did I say P2? Anyway, trying to maximize it. And I didn't even maximize the space. This is only about 30 inches. You got another 6 inches on there. And the other one's a layered up one. I'm going to leave it in there for a little bit longer. Maybe I'll show it in a bit. But yeah, part of that is just making sure that it's never it hasn't gotten below freezing out here, but it's gotten down into the upper 30s a couple times. So I wanted to make sure that I was, moving things through the machines. And CO2 laser tubes don't like to sit. And so you want to make sure you're using them regularly. And after kind of not doing anything out here since pretty much the New Year's.
I was supposed to say, you've been a little preoccupied.
Yeah, I've been working on some other things. It's been cold. I've had some, it's just been a month of stuff. So yeah, I figured I'd get out there and exercise that machine a little bit. Going to take some things into work. I've been slowly kind of swapping out the whole aviation artwork stuff I have at work for more of my,
laser cut stuff.
Yeah, my workshop stuff. And
well, I don't have an office at work. This is kind of my office now. I do have a little office space in the house, but I'm not allowed to do a lot of decorating in there. Very minimal decorating, actually.
So the funny thing is, earlier I did the big kind of cat wall art thing, and I think it was in one of my P3 videos, and I took it in the house to see if it would go like in the living room or something. One of our cats saw that, and he poofed up, his fur he was like not having it. And he's like, nope. He was getting ready to fight that thing. So I was like, well, I guess this can't stay here.
He done hackled up at it.
Yeah. But so
we're
working on that. And I got to get caught up. I've got the Anycubic S1 printer sitting back here because I brought it out here so I could do kind of the actual like walk around part of the video. I've been using it down in the basement shop, and it's not conducive to like showing the front and the back and everything. So I got to get that stuff going. It's after dialing it in, it's not too bad of a printer, but I've had to do some more tweaking with this one compared to the Bamboo and the Flash Forge. And I've had a little more issues with like cardboard filament spools and a few of those things with this one than others. That being said, it's a pretty inexpensive, if you want a multicolor filament dryer built into the device and whatnot, Core XY type of machine. This one's pretty inexpensive, and it'll work, but you may have to just do. I had to do some Z offset calibration to it. I had to. I actually swapped out the nozzle as well, just making sure everything was going good. I've heard some people, and I need to take a level to it and see. Some people have had, some warped plates on theirs as well. So probably a little bit of you get what you pay for there. But yeah, so gonna try to wrap that one up this week because I got other things going on that need to be worked with. We finally got the big enclosure for the Glacier.
Yeah. I've got that over there hiding in the corner.
Which unfortunately is going to take up the bulk, and it may not even fit on my assembly table now that I extended it even. It may hang over just a little bit, so I got to see. But I got to get that built, test that out, see if that makes that machine functional with that enclosure. So we'll be going through that. They also, somewhere out here, I've got the IR module they sent with that, so we might take a look at that. But we'll be revisiting that laser here pretty soon. And then you can't really see it. the Anycubic and some True Flat is sitting on it, but there's a box there that contains the SaneSmart 2x2 CNC.
The big boy.
I knew it was a little bit bigger when they talked to me because they actually talked with me about this back in I think like October, and I just told them I'm too busy over the holidays. So then they really wanted to send it out here after the new year. And so I said, okay, we'll take a look at it. It has some very nice, interesting specs to it. It comes with their 710 trim router. It has closed loop steppers on it. And has a working area of about, I think it's 26 3/4 inches square. So it's a little bit just over 2 foot by 2 foot. But it also, I think physically, the space needed for it is something around maybe 4 foot square. And I'm not sure how tall. So again, about the only space I have for that, it's going to be my assembly table, which then is going to be a problem once I get it assembled on there. This ain't like a go tuck it under your workbench kind of machine.
This one over here, this one that I got in is, it is at that threshold, in my opinion. It's like standing on the line between portable and not portable. Like it's just like right there. You can move it carefully, because it's still kind of heavy. I think the packaged weight was like 75 pounds, but they did, and I don't know if it was accidental or what. It looks like they're intentionally made to be handles, but if you use those, you actually can lift it and move it around. Okay, even at 75 pounds with a bad back. But yeah, it's at that threshold of where the average person, I would have to say that it's standing straight up on the line of portable and not portable. So the one that you've got is, in my opinion, is definitely not portable.
Well, it's going to be bigger than the 6050, and that one, I could hurt myself and move it by myself.
It was a team lift.
It's definitely a team lift. This one is definitely going to be that. So yeah, so we're going to take a look at that one and see how that goes. So I had intended to get a few more things done in January, but January got away from me. So I'm going to be playing a little catch up and kind of churning through a few machines with some projects sprinkled in. I had another project I wanted to do on the P3. I'm still working out the details of the design. That one will be kind of fun because it's going to be something that's going to help show off some 3D printed things. So definitely some things to get caught up on in. But it's nice that the weather is turning better. We got a little bit of snow today, but nothing too bad. Nothing like people are dealing with down south. And looking at the long range forecast, we could even see some 40s possibly next weekend. So, well, I'm sure it's a tease, and it'll go right back down to bitterly cold here the second half.
Yeah, Tim's saying, how cold is it? And I think early this morning was the coldest we've had in a while, and it got down to 18. Currently outside, it is saying that it is 31 degrees. No, 30. No. Yeah, I think it's saying 31 currently. Yes. So it's currently 31. So just below freezing. But now during the day tomorrow, it's supposed to get up to 53. So yeah, that's pretty cold. It's actually not that much colder where you are right now, though. because thanks to this little dip that we got going on.
Well, our high tomorrow is only 20, so
yeah, and we're going to get you on that one because we're looking at 53. We're going to be back to normal for my part of the world by the time next week rolls around. Let's see, not this Monday, but they're predicted 70s next Monday. So yeah, we'll be back to Alabama weather. We can send this Mankato weather back to where it came from because I've had enough of it. And we didn't even get any snow here where I'm at. Like everybody else got to have a snowball fight and break out a sled or whatever. Not here. It's just been bone chilling, cold, and rainy. That's it. That's all we've got.
And all the snow was south of us, so
yeah.
I actually had bare spots on my lawn up until today, where the concrete like grass, dead grass is at. I should say dormant grass, but yeah. It's it's Groundhog's Day tomorrow, right?
Is it?
So
I don't
the funny thing is everybody. I always chuckle when people complain about it, like, oh, you saw a shadow, and we're gonna have 6 more weeks of winter. I look at it and they go, hey, if we get to mid-March and winter's done, I count that as a win.
Yeah, yeah. Chris said it's only 88 there, but it's on its way to 104.
I hope he's not using centigrade because man, he's boiling. But
mercy.
So yeah, it's nice it's warmer up here. I was able to. I mean, actually, I had to turn the heater down. It's actually 70 degrees in here right now, and I'm about ready to remove a layer. So I've got the electric heaters off, and I got my other one kind of on medium. So I'm enjoying the milder winter.
Yeah, it hadn't been. I mean, it's all right. It ain't been terrible, but it's been cold. Like I've been having to run my little propane auxiliary heat out here because mini splits, when it gets down below 32, the mini splits that we get here in Alabama typically are not rated for operation below 32 degrees. Even the house unit is not really. Now the new unit that we've got is better suited because it's oversized. It's an inverted type setup. It does have like the reverse heating and all these different things in it. So it's better suited, but this mini split, when it gets down to where, the whole process of compression and evaporation, once it gets to where the temperature is so cold that it hinders that, it's pretty much dead in the water. So I've got me a little oil heater, kind of like the ones that you were saying that you had, because I thought when you were talking about it the other day, I'm like, that's actually not a bad idea for me to get one because they're small, compact, no open flames, less fire risk, less risk to the cats and stuff. I do use my little propane element thing over there, but I'll only use it when I'm in the shop present with it because it just scares me because it's literally like a big ball of fire on top of a propane tank.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been working.
So Mark Patterson's asking, Steve, can you hang it from the ceiling and lower it to your assembly table? The laser, yes. The Glacier. Now I don't know about the enclosure. I got to get that assembled, and we'll have to see how that might be able to get pulled out of the way. Because otherwise, I got to find a permanent spot for it. And we've talked about this before. The laser is really nice. The water cooled 100-watt overdrive to 120-watt diode, pretty cool. Not necessarily going to replace the CO2 of say a 60 to 80 watt. It's going to be similar on part of that. But the form factor is just, you got to have the space for it or it's just a little too big. So
yeah, and I have begged them to make it smaller too. So
yeah. Now the CNC machine, that thing is, I don't know. It's going to be well over 100 pounds assembled. I know that for a fact. So I don't know that I want to hang that kind of bulk, like it's going to be condensed into a relatively small area. I mean, if I had like 4 pulleys from different rafters, maybe, but I also don't know that I'd want to lift up and I mean, you're talking like chains and a hoist kind of
yeah. At this point, you're having to secure things like across multiple rafters, and like you're having to build a swing set.
Yeah. So we'll see. It'll if it performs well and has a good working area, maybe I build a permanent spot for it. Otherwise, we'll see.
Yeah, 2 foot by 2 foot. Is that bigger? That's not as big as your Onefinity that you've got, is it? Because I know your Onefinity is an older one, right?
Well, the Onefinity, it's the so mine's got it's 35 inches deep and 49 inches wide.
Okay,
so it's smaller in both directions. That being said, I've used probably the width a couple times, but I've never touched even the 3 foot depth on it. So yeah, it's well, but and that's the thing is, you know, you got to figure out what the majority of your work is going to be. So Papa's Woodworking is asking, hey, I was wondering if a honeycomb is better than the plate with raised ribs, or does it matter? So the difference, and so what you're looking at is probably more like what they call a knife bed. Some of the small lasers have like a plate, but a lot of them will have either in a frame or individual rails that create what's called a knife bed. The idea is you want to minimize the contact of your material with whatever's supporting it, but you need to have enough support to support your material so that things don't fall and get crooked and out of the way. So you can do that. If you want more support, a honeycomb is better. It has real fine blade, you know, or fine strips of, you know, weaved steel, preferably not aluminum. Some of them are aluminum. I don't recommend them. And so it's very thin, but it has a lot of touch points. Those are great for holding up thin, like smaller, more intricate type of items. If you're working on something big, you can get by with fewer touch points, and or you may want to add in tabs and have only a couple. But so if you're working with something bigger, and it's going to be well supported, using the knife bed or the rails is going to be better than a honeycomb, because the honeycomb is going to be like, in some cases, less than a 1/4 inch. It's going to have a touch point, and every time that laser hits that, you get that flashback or staining from that contact where it doesn't have the smooth air going down through it. So it's one of those. It kind of depends on what you're doing. There's purposes for both, but some people just roll with the honeycomb and not mess with the rails just because it's a pain to switch, or vice versa.
Yeah, I typically run mostly honeycomb, but like I said, if you're trying to cut down on backflash, sometimes the blade bed's the way to go. As long as you strategically place it to where you don't have no little pieces like kick up.
Yeah,
cause an impact.
when I was cutting out this wolf thing, I had the knife, the rails or the knife pieces in there, but I had a job that I'd done earlier. I had to space them out, so I had these gaps kind of at the 2/3 point, and there were a couple of things that the parts would like flip down, but then part of it was flipped up, and I'm looking at it going, oh, is that going to get in the way of the head? Which path is this thing going to take? Because if it hits that, I didn't have
shove your workpiece over.
Yeah, I didn't have anything holding the workpiece in place. It was going to most likely move everything. So
yeah, that's the only thing that you got to be mindful of is what's going to happen when that piece of material is cut loose from the big sheet. Is it going to fall, flip, kick up, drop? What's it going to do? So yeah, considerations, but it is nice to have options when you're doing stuff like that.
There's another one. Mr. 40 now is asking, I have a laser question. Do both of you have X-Tool F2 Ultra UVs? What do you think of it? I'm about to pull the trigger. No, I don't have the F2 Ultra UV. My UV lasers are for the Omni 1 and the Omni X from CommMarker. So those ones I have experience with. I got to see the F2 Ultra UV at X-Tool or at CES. Didn't necessarily get to use it, but so I'll let David speak to it.
Yeah, well, you've got experience with the F1 Ultra, which is literally, it's like they reinvented it, gave it a little bit of a facelift, and throw the UV source in there. It's really not that much difference if you know what you get with the UV. I like the one that I have, and I like my Omni. I love it. I liked my Omni X. Now, little disclaimer here. Me and Steve got early release models of the Omni X. So our machines were like, I don't know that I would say they were prototypes, but they were definitely like beta units. And so as the Omni X was evolving, rather than just send us a whole new machine, we were sent parts, in which we actually had to go in and change out cables because there was a little bit of rigging had to be done to make the 12-watt head work on my 5-watt Omni X. There's been some problems that have arisen since I did that, and CommMarker has not gave me a viable solution for these problems. And I think Steve's having the same issues, and I know of a few other people that were in this similar situation that are either having the same issues or haven't checked to see if they're going to have those issues. But the problem that we're having, it's that we can't get the lenses to calibrate with the new 12-watt module. They worked fine with the 5-watt. Like mine worked awesome as a 5-watt, but since I've put the 12-watt on there, I haven't been able to get it to calibrate properly. If I get it to make a perfect square, then the square is not proportionately correct with what it's supposed to be. If I make it proportionally correct, then it's kind of like a squished, rounded square. So there's some issues, and I have beat my head against the wall trying to get it sorted out. And I think there's some calculations that we're not getting, like maybe the galvanometer in this one's a different size than the one that was in the other, and there's some of the math's not mathing, but we can't get a straight answer. So right now, my Omni X is kind of like DOA, like it's here. Mechanically, it physically will fire a laser beam, but I don't like using it because, like, if I tell it to do a 10-millimeter circle, it's going to be like a 12-millimeter circle. So it's created some problems. My Omni One still works like a champ. Love it to death. I wish I'd have kept the other module before I sent it back to CommMarker, because they sent us a box basically and said, take the 12-watt out, put the 5-watt in, send it back to us. And I did that. I wish I'd have waited because I'd have sent the 10-watt back to them and kept my 5. The 5 was working fine. I didn't have any problems with calibration. But I think it's because rather than just sending us a whole new machine, they tried to send us an upgrade kit that was kind of half-baked, in my opinion. Like I said, I like CommMarker, have good luck with CommMarker machines. I've had 3 so far, and I've never had an issue until they sent me the 10-watt. This one was fine until I got the 10-watt head for it, and that just created problems. And I think it's because we're trying to, they were trying to save a little money and just send us an upgrade kit for it rather than the whole new machine. Because I haven't heard nobody that like viewer wise has told me, hey, I'm having this problem with my CommMarker Omni X. It's only those of us that had the beta machines, or what I guess I call
that we're aware of anyway. Yep.
Yeah. So that's why you don't see me using the Omni X a whole lot. And it's sitting there because I keep thinking maybe we'll come to a resolution. Man, I'm not really seeing any headway. And like I said, it still functions mostly, but it's just the calibration. Calibrating it is impossible. I thought it was just me until Steve couldn't do it either. Because, Steve's usually like, if I can't figure something out, Steve be like, oh, it's easy. This is how you do it. And when Steve texted me back and was like, no, mine's not doing it either. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad he can't make fun of me, because I sat in here for like 3 days and I couldn't get it. And finally I tapped out and I'm like, Steve, please tell me you've got the answer to what I'm doing wrong. And so that's where we're at on that one.
They even sent me an additional lens that you didn't get to try. And it's kind of consistent across. I've tried now I haven't tried the 150, but I've tried the 70, the 250, and now the 200. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the F2 Ultra UV, they do a lot better job of, they develop their software to work with their lasers. The CommMarker one is a rebranded piece of software that is basically the same stuff that that OhmTech is using with their Solus, with that type of laser. And so they didn't develop the software for that laser. They made the software work with that laser. And so I think that might be part of the problem. And so I think, we're getting closer to calibrating it within Lightburn, but you can't do the crystals in Lightburn. You have to use their software. And so if you're trying to do an engraving the right size and you're not trying to guess and check where, I mean, you can frame it, but you can't always, you know, your Z will also still be kind of affected by some of it. So Xtool right now definitely has more of a developed software for it. You'll have an easier time. You will pay for it though. It is more expensive than the other UV lasers out there. So I guess if you're interested in doing crystals, that's a good one to look at. If you're just looking at being able to engrave in more 2D with a UV laser, then you might want to compare the Omni 1 and save some money versus the Xtool F2. But
yeah, if you're just wanting to do like business cards and coasters and cork and just like flat stuff, the Omni 1 is awesome. I would like the addition of like maybe a cover or a red framing laser would be nice. Those are the only two things that I could fault the Omni 1 is it doesn't have the framing laser, the little red laser that shows you where the design is going to go. You have to use the paddle. And if you're not familiar, this is the paddle. And the paddle basically shows you where the UV light is at. And so not a fan of this, but for a budget UV machine, you know, it's not bad for flat things because it's easy enough to just throw this on top of something flat and frame it. But if you're doing something not flat, then, you know, it's a little more difficult. One benefit I will say with the Xtool products that with the UV is it does offer basically the map surface engraving. So whether it's convex, concave, a little odd shaped, you actually can use the machine. And I've done it. I did it with some whiskey glasses. There's a video of it. I did it with some other things. You can use the machine. And why did my heater just die randomly? Maybe it got too hot. It's about time anyway. But you can map the surface of the material and the machine will adjust the Z-axis to engrave, whether it's convex, concave, just, you know, skewed one way or the other. That's really handy if you're doing, you know, just random things. Like say, for instance, if you're doing a baseball or, you know, a football or a baseball glove or something like that. It's really handy. The other machines can't do that. So there are benefits that come along with that hefty price tag because I don't like beating up on Xtool saying, oh, their machines are just too expensive. They do include extras that you can't get just anywhere. I have another company or two that claim that they can do those things that are wanting to send a machine, and we'll see. I don't know if they're going to send it. I don't know if it can actually do it, but they're making claims that it can do the curved surface and all this stuff. Because I've seen a lot of people claim that they can do it. I've only seen a couple that actually pulled it off with consistency. Like Xtool makes some claims that I'll tell you right now I don't believe. Like this whole conveyor batch engraving thing, that's marketing. Okay, can it do it? Yes. Can it do it to my standards? No, it can't. Like it's just hit and miss. Build a jig, be done with it, in my opinion. So I'm not just sitting here, you know, trying to sell Xtool stuff because that's not how I operate. But Xtool does include some features in their machines that it's really hard to get in another machine. So
didn't I see you filed for a new LLC called Clax X Tool Shop or Clax X Tool Shack?
Hey, it's just like if you make a product and it works, I'm going to say it works. Now, like I said, the conveyor, that's why you've never seen a conveyor for Xtool living in my shop. You've seen a couple of them pass through, but that's all they do is they pass through because they haven't mastered that yet, in my opinion. They've mastered a lot of stuff. They've done a really good job. The curved surface, I was pleasantly surprised after doing, 9 of those whiskey glasses. It worked 9 out of 9 times. So I was very pleased with that. So
yeah, even on the F2 where I was doing the little Christmas ornaments, these things, I still have one on my table here. It was simple and fairly effective to do that. Now it has some limitations to it, but yeah, it's
not fast.
It's definitely it has some features to it that they actually make work pretty well. So.
Yeah, it does add some time to your job. So like if you're pricing the job, you need to understand that if it's a curved surface, you're going to have to map each one. So it's not going to be map one and run 100 of them unless they're consistent. Like if you can get them in the exact same spot every time and they're all the same shape, then yeah. But like the one that I did, the wine glass or the little whiskey glasses, there were slight inconsistencies. So I had to do each one of them individually. And so it took a long time. So you're going to have to charge a little bit more. But I'm the only person around that could engrave those because anybody with all these other machines that doesn't have that capability can't do it. So you kind of get a little bit of a foot up when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah. Kevin's asking, what brands of PETG or PLA do you recommend or do you suggest to steer clear of? I have used a lot of, with my Bamboo printers, I've used a lot of their filament, but I've also used a lot of Polymaker. I've used some Sunlu, and I've been testing both in PLA and PETG, some stuff from Voxel. They're more of a US-based company. I had a little bit of issue with, I had to do some tweaking to the print profile, and actually I found some information on their website to adjust one of the filament profiles for their PETG, but that's been working really well since then. So some of them they're not necessarily drag and drop and use the generic the filament profiles. Sometimes you got to do a little playing with that, but those are some ones I've used. And recently, well, about a month ago now, I visited the local 3D printing shop, and they had some King Rune and another brand that I'm playing around with. The other ones, like Overture from Amazon, I've played around with that in the past and had pretty good luck. I can't say there's any that I would say I would stay away from. Oh, and I did find one single roll of Hobby Lobby red filament. And that one's been working pretty well as well if you have a local store and they ever stock it. So, but yeah, and a lot of that's with the Bamboos, but also with the 85X from Flash Forward. So I did trade some of their PLA that they provided with that printer, and that worked pretty well. I haven't necessarily bought any more of their stuff to run through there because I have so much of the others that I'm going through. But yeah, I guess I haven't really run into any that I would say they were junk and I wouldn't use, at least recently. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Kevin Rich is asking, I'm going to do my first MDF projects this week. Do you all prime or seal before painting? If so, what do you use? I would definitely, if you're going to paint it, yeah, I would put a coat of primer on there, because that stuff that will absorb paint like no tomorrow. So I usually just use it's the which one do I get locally? I'm trying to look over there. Either Rust-Oleum or Krylon. The trick there is if you're going to use spray paint on both of them, use the same brand for both your primer and your, or if you're doing multi-layer, use the same brand. Make sure they you read their directions on their coat, recoat, and then their cure time before you paint over it. If you're just going to use it raw, it's nice to seal it, and then probably just like polyacrylic would be my choice on that. Again, that just prevents it from absorbing other things, or even if you get into a humid environment. I've made some kind of like tool caddy kind of things and drawers and such, so it's nice to seal that up so they'll disintegrate or puff up really quickly if they get too much moisture on them. So now if it's decorative, I would just do the priming and then paint.
Yeah,
doesn't take a lot, just a nice light coat of primer just so that it helps it. Otherwise you're going to be doing like multiple coats to get that paint to a nice even finish.
Yes, paint likes to absorb liquids, especially dry wood. If your paint's not absorbing paint, if your wood's not absorbing paint really good, it's probably wet. It's probably a problem,
or it's got some sort of sealant on it already.
Yeah.
Bill Henson's asking, what are your thoughts on using a borax mixer with engraving on wood with a diode laser? I don't like the additive tricks because they work. You'll get a nice dark engraving, but they're not really. It wipes off too easily, and so if you don't handle that carefully and seal it right away, you run the risk of kind of smearing it around a little bit and ruining it. Whereas the actual engraving into the wood tends to be a little more forgiving. You can do a real light sanding on it if you need to, and you'll still have the engraving. So it's not. I don't like doing that or the baking soda kind of thing or whatnot. I try to stick with materials that will give me an appropriate engraving, or I will work with the customer and say, I can, like if they're adamant about a bamboo cutting board, I will just tell them, hey, there's this guy down in Alabama. He'll do it for you because I don't want to touch it.
Hey, it's a trick bamboo. You got to defocus and generate lots of scorching.
It still is not. No, it's just one of those.
No,
things.
it's not going to be consistent. Bamboo is very inconsistent.
Yeah, and it, unless it's decorative, again, you can do some tricks and such, but anything that's going to be handled or washed or whatnot, it can be a tool in your kit, but I would try to find ways around doing things like that.
Yeah, the borax thing, that first of all, it certain woods especially, it interacts with them and it will stain them. So you'll get like a yellow, like it look like somebody poured tea on your project or something. And then once you engrave it, first of all, you can't run air assist because if you do that black soot's going to go everywhere. So you're going to need to make sure you take that into consideration. And then you have to literally clear coat it before you touch it, because if you touch it anywhere, that black soot is going to go everywhere from the borax. I don't use it. I bought some borax when I first got into it because everybody was telling me that's what you needed, but I don't use it. I threw it away. I had a jar with some water in it, some borax spray in it and some little solution, but yeah, I used it probably like 2 or 3 times. And then after it turned some of my plywood colors and stuff, I was just like, you know what, this is not working anyway. Because you literally have to take it really carefully, not to breathe on it or anything like that, and clear coat it right then to glue that black soot down in the hole, or else it'll get all over the place. That's all you're doing, is you're adding something to create really dark soot, which is, if your machine's running the way it's supposed to, most of the time it's not going to create black soot. It's going to caramelize and you're going to get a light brown. So if you need pigmentation like that, my advice is to either mask and paint fill or run it out of focus. Just play with your settings, but yeah, no thanks on the borax or any of the other stuff. Somebody was saying that they appreciated my older video on the Monport air assist. Yeah, every Monport machine I've had so far needed help with the air assist. The air assist is not their strong point. Some of the machines they make do okay, but air assist is not their strong point. Okay, now my neck's starting to get hot. my heater just went off. I've knocked it over like twice because I forget it's in here sometimes.
Dark Force made basically just commenting though, the X-Tool S1 is a damn near perfect diode laser. I wish the work area was a bit bigger. I'd agree.
It's a good one.
It's a very good one. I still, it's set up in my basement workshop. So if I, want to do something quick down there, I've got that hooked up to the AP2 and that's still working pretty well for me as well. So it's not even vented outside. It's kind of the good winter medium project laser for me. But yeah, the working area, it's there's always that balance. You always want a bigger working area until you get something that's too big and it's obnoxiously in your way and you're not using that. But there's definitely a kind of a sweet spot where having a little bit bigger area, I like having at least 24 inches wide working area. And it'd be nice if it was, I don't necessarily always need 24 deep, but it is nice if you want to do like the square or rounded, like full signs, you can use more of the area. But the other part of that is now you got to find material that's that size. And once you get over that kind of 12 by 24 or 18 by 24. Gets a little bit trickier unless you have a local hardwood dealer and or you're able to break it down yourself, or a combination of both. So that's just one of the things I've noticed is like with the P3, I've got that 18 inches by 36-inch working area. It's great. It's a lot of space, but it's like, well, if I want to put a sheet in there like that, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
To find some of the material in that size. So, but yeah, I'll be curious to see what X Tool does. The S1 being their gantry style dial laser, they haven't really, they didn't really update anything with that last year.
Yeah, I keep looking for the diode to be the next one to get an upgrade.
So yeah, we'll be curious. Now they made it as a module based machine, so you would hope that they would, bring out some new modules for it, maybe. But that's not going to address the working area size. So, but yeah, I still enjoy mine. There's some out there that might give it a run for its money, but we'll have to see. Get some action going on over by you.
Like it's a medical call.
We'll see how things pan out. I would imagine we'll see something from them this year in their, the S1, whether it's upgrades to it or a replacement, which we've seen them kind of jump that before.
Yeah, the medical call.
Wayne Yun's asking, hey guys, do you know if an Ortur rotary will work with a Lasermatic? Yes, it should. It just depends on if you can get the right wiring adapter to it. I'd have to look at that one. I don't know if because the Ortur rotary comes with a couple adapters. So I know it would plug into, and I made that one work with like an atom stack laser. And I think the Lasermatic, they have a pretty standard plug, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I'd have to go back and look. I don't recall.
I mean, I don't want to say yes for sure.
I don't remember where it plugs in exactly. I don't remember if you have to unplug the stepper or if it had an auxiliary plug. I think it had an auxiliary plug in the front of the machine. And I'm wanting to say maybe it was similar to the D1 plug, the 4-pin. But I don't remember. Okay. It may not have been.
So yeah, there's not a lot of magic to these. There's the stepper drivers, they generally have 4 pins. Some of them have extra pins based on power or communication things. So as long as you can get the controller to send the right signal down the right wires to control that stepper, yes, it'll work. It's just some of them use different wiring patterns or plugs that make it a little trickier. So unfortunately,
there's usually only like 2 wires that can be flipped one way or the other. And
it's usually like a communication wire and maybe the ground or something, whereas the power and the whatnot. But
typically they just run backwards, or either they click and don't.
Yeah, so I want to say yes, but without really looking into it and taking a closer look, I can't say it for 100% for sure. But
yeah. Talking about the S1, I've still got my S1. I had to move it to make room for other machines, but it's one of those that I can't bring myself to get rid of it because it is, like I said, it has been a tank, like for tumblers, for just small projects. The only knock, I guess I would say, is the fact that I wish the work area was a little bit bigger. And I've been trying to get Atom Stack to work with me and make reinvent the A70 Pro, but make like the A70 wide and make it to where it's 850 wide and 500 deep so that it would fit perfectly in my enclosure here. But I feel like that would be a really good size for most people because that would give you like 30 something inches wide to do, signs and stuff for inside the house. And the 500 deep is going to give you a bigger height than most machines on the market right now. Because like the A70 itself is like 500 by 500. So if you just extended that one axis left to right and made it 850 by 500, other than like, I think Niji is still making some machines that are that size, but their machines, although very effective, they just haven't ever grown on me. You know what I mean? Because
they're really nice machines, but I feel like they're the
Erector set.
yeah, I was just gonna say the erector set or the kit builder. It's like all the parts are there, but you got to kind of figure out, okay, well, how do you want to mount it on the board? Where do you want to mount? I mean, like they send you an e-stop button that's just dangling, it's loose. I had to build a box for mine,
Yeah.
But they're really nice machines. They're really quiet.
I feel like smooth
and smooth. So, but yeah, it's
but yeah, I'm hoping they decide to do it, because I told them, I was like, even the Glacier, I think the Glacier would be a great, like, because you could turn it down. I mean, you could run it on 70 or what is it, 60 or 50, like half power. But I just think the 850 by 850 or 800 by 850, that's just a bit much for most people.
Yeah.
And I, especially like in my shop, I mean, I don't have that kind of room.
Yeah.
So
TJ Michael's asking, how are you storing your filament to keep it dry? I'm using cereal containers with desiccant, keeps it below 10%. So I try to keep mine in some of them, like the Polymaker stuff, a lot of it will come in a resealable bag. They just say, hey, make sure you cut this end and not the other. And they usually come with a desiccant pack. And yeah, that's a good way to kind of keep it fairly dry, depending on the pack and your environment. Now, right now in my basement, because of the forced air heat and whatnot, it's about 15% humidity in my basement right now.
The whole place is a dehumidifier.
So I don't worry so much about it in the winter, but in the summer it gets a little more humid. And so yeah, it depends on the spools. Some of them I'm able to put back into gallon bags, the Ziploc bags, and then again, a desiccant pack. And in some cases, I just, especially I've got the Sunlu filament dryer on the AMS for my P1S. I've got the Creality filament dryer, and then of course on this one it has the built-in heater with their multi-filament system. I'll just try to remember to okay, I'm going to print something later. I'm going to go spin that up and let that dry out before I print it. Or you can run some of them at the same time. I haven't run into problems yet. Some people warn against running the heater while printing. Certain filaments like PLA can get a little soft, sometimes cause some feeding issues and such. But yeah, for me, it's kind of the cheapest path of those gallon Ziploc bags. I pick them up at Aldi, so they're even cheaper. So
yeah, I've got gallon Ziplocs.
But
and plenty of desiccant, because like everything we get in has those little desiccant packs in there.
The only one that I keep, I think it might be from Sunlu. It's a filament container that has the wheels on it, and that's where I have a roll of TPU, because that is kind of ultra sensitive to drying and moisture. So I keep that in there with their desiccant pack. I don't have. You can buy the little heater and fan unit that goes on the bottom of that. I don't have that, but yeah, it's there's some people that do like the whole food saver, pull all the air out, kind of reseal it that way. But I find that just the gallon Ziploc bag and a desiccant, there's not a lot of air in there at that point.
Yeah, Diamond State saying my early videos had a wood burning stove arrangement. Yes, it did, and it was right in front of that piece of tin that you see right there. And in the early days, that's the only heat I had out here. But it required me to go cut wood, or usually I went around collecting like dead fallen branches and cutting them up and using them, and then using scraps from the sawmill and stuff like that. But yeah, it wound up during the winter, it was a good thing to have, but it just took so long to get it warm in here. And then after I decided, what, I'm ready to go in the house, I still had a fire going inside the heater. So I just got to where I didn't like that setup. And then once I got the mini split, it's just like, I only need auxiliary heat here, maybe, well, this year, quite a few days, but typically only like 2 or 3 days a year do I actually have to have something supplemental other than the mini split. This has just been extraordinarily cold, and this shop was not built and insulated really well. It is very drafty in here. It's still a shack, literally. So if it was insulated a little better, I probably wouldn't even have to have auxiliary heating. but once it gets down below 32, the mini split loses its efficiency, so it doesn't work as well.
Got Hamilton Dilbeck popping in and saying hi. So if you're especially into CNC work, he's got a nice library of things on his YouTube channel, but he's also has spun up this past, I think he started it last fall, or made it public last fall, is cncfiles.com.
So it's still kind of a work in progress up until recently.
Well, yeah, I mean they've been trying to curate the files there, so they're trying to make it a more curated, safer place than like say Etsy and others for being able to purchase CNC files that are kind of tested and guaranteed to work. And then they are going to try to work with other people and I believe do some vetting on their files and such. So if you're looking for pre-made files, you don't want to do some design work, check out his channel, check out cncfiles.com as well, and might find some cool things over there. I started watching Hamilton back before he even hit 10K. He was doing his first like Make Timber series, where he released a project every day through, I think it was September. And they weren't very long, but it was really good. Like kind of here's the material I'm working with, here's the bits, here's the machine I'm working with. And then he'd kind of go through his anticipated pricing and such, and then he would offer up the files at the end as well. So kind of a cool playlist there for some good ideas if you're getting into CNC work as well. So he's a good guy. Check him out.
Yeah, I actually got to meet him in person a couple times over at Workbench Con. I think you were only there that once.
Yeah.
But he was there. He was there both years, hanging out with. Dang it! Brain fart.
Well, he's hanging out with Carveco and Onefinity.
No. James Dean.
James, yeah. Well, and him too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, why can I not say his name? He's got a really good taste in colors too. But yeah, the new CNC files thing he's got going seems like it's going to be a pretty cool little setup there, for sure. But I haven't been in the CNC world as long as Steve has. I did watch some of his videos though when I was trying to decide what CNC I wanted to get. And then it just came down to a business decision on which one I went with.
Yeah. News fans asking, I've got an A1 still in the box. I want to do multicolor printing. I was thinking it might be better to sell and just get the P2S instead of investing money into the AMS Lite. What do you guys think? If you're wanting to do a lot of multicolor printing, you may actually want to look at things like the new SnapMaker, the multi-head units. Because the thing with multicolor printing is it's very cool, but these multi-filament systems that use a single head, every single layer that has multiple colors, it's going to purge once per color, and then it's going to do the next layer and do the same thing over. You can sometimes end up with more purged filament than you do end product. So if you're really wanting to get into multicolor printing and you're thinking of rethinking your purchase, I would look at the SnapMaker, or I think Prusa has one, and I think I'm forgetting another one, but they actually have individual heads that it loads and unloads, so it doesn't. The purging is far less. It's a fraction of what it does with the normal style. Now that being said, if you're wanting to stick with the Bamboo series and you're looking at that, the P2S and the kind of the AMS Pro are better than the AMS Lite. It's easier to swap out filaments, and you can get the option that it's enclosed. It's going to help mitigate some of that humidity issues and such, and it does open up more types of filaments down the road for you. Typically, if you're doing multicolor, you're probably sticking with some of the more just decorative, like the PLAs and whatnot. So it's not as big of an issue. That being said, you can still do all that with the A1, but just be prepared for the multicolor printing to use a lot of extra filament in those purges.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of multicolor printing. What I do sometimes do though is when I got like a little bit of orange left on the roll and I got a little bit of green left on the roll, I set it to automatically swap like from one filament to the other. And that's what I did here. Is I was prototyping a stand for the controller for the Ultra over there, and I had a little bit of orange left, and I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and run it all through because it was a prototype anyway. So I used some orange and green, and I wound up with like a dual color little stand. And it's kind of weird because like right here, it's got just enough green to kind of tint it green, but it's still orange. It kind of bled together, but this is an A1, guys, and one of the cheapest 3D printers Bamboo makes, and I love it. I cannot make myself buy another one. It worked so good. And this was another version. This was the very first one I did, and then I realized that there was way too many supports needed for all this perimeter fencing here, and so I cut down on that to reduce the supports, and then I actually went back and cut down even more to where I wound up with just two little small trees for supports, and the rest of it was 100% towards the product.
Now, this was a multicolor print I did on the Anycubic.
Didn't you have like a 5-pound bucket of print poop?
Well, and the other thing is it increases your time. I think this took, it was like 9 hours. And yeah, it's the green, the black, the white, and the red. So it's 4 different colors. It came out very nice. But yeah, I had to, I don't have as big of a poop chute for the Anycubic as I do for the like the P1S. And yeah, it on when I was doing multicolor on the Flash Forge, I just set a big little bin behind the chute and I just let it dump into there. And so yeah, it'll take a lot, but it is fun. It is, I mean, it's cool. It's definitely cool to make things like these, you know, and even more advanced ones, but just be prepared for the filament waste.
Yeah. Tim Arthur saying that I mentioned moving over to PET G, said he used some Bamboo Lab PET G and it seems to stick to the PEI plate and was a real pain to get off. Are you experiencing that? I'll have a few little small spots occasionally that'll stick, but if you let it cool completely, it tends to turn loose better. Now there, every now and then there will still be a few little spots that just don't come off. I've teetered on whether or not to try to do something with this, but typically mine are only in the supports or the pad for the print. It's not generally the print itself with the PETG. So some folks have said that it's probably because the bed temp's a bit on the high side, but I'm just running factory settings.
Well, so, a lot of people use
the
glue stick to actually help it release. Now I have the opposite experience of you. If I pull it off more when it's still warm, I find it's easier to break loose. When I let it sit on there, it's like concrete. Yeah, PLA, you let it sit on there, you'll go and just pick it up because it's
that PLA. You can literally hear it pop loose from across the room.
But yeah, my experience with PETG on the stock PEI plate, I want to catch it fairly quickly because it feels like when it cools, it locks it in. So,
I mean, it may be. I don't know because it just seems like when I grab them off of there and they're warm, is when they seem to stick more than if I come in and it's printed and cooled off before I, made it to it. It seems like I have less of that. But I have started making sure too that to take and, take a little Windex or something and wipe down the build plate just to make sure there's nothing on there because sometimes too, it'll stick in like one little spot. And I'm not sure if that might not be like where I touched it or something. And maybe with PETG, it's a little different. And instead of that touch making it pop loose, it makes it set harder. But it hasn't become a big enough issue for me to mess with it, like change any settings. But I've been printing a lot of those Bigfoot adapters and shipping them off. And it's usually the supports that end up having that little bit of layer stuck. And I guess I need to start taking a picture when I do have it stick to see if it's the same spot on the PEI build plate or not. Because it could be something to do with the coating on that. Because I've had those build plates since I got that machine. I probably need to replace them. I've got 2 and I rotate them out. But I probably need to go ahead and replace them because I know they don't last forever.
Yeah.
I do have a smooth plate, and I thought about using it to get away from the textured finish, but I'm a little worried, from past experience that if I do that, I might have an adhesion issue. I have it, but I'm afraid if I do, it will.
Well, you have to give it a shot.
Zentero saying he uses the glue stick or hairspray on the build plate with PETG. But I'm still using a good bit of PLA because right now Bamboo Labs is like if you try to go get solid color PETG, like especially the orange, you can get it in the translucent or whatever but you can't get like the solid colors.
You should check out Voxel. I know they've got orange as well.
I'm going to end up having to if they don't keep stocking it because it's like Bamboo like makes a batch and then sells it all, and then they make a batch and they sell it all.
This is going to turn into the whole. You just got to listen to me. This is going to turn into the whole shipping thing. You're going to resist it because you're comfortable with what you're doing.
I know
you're paying too much for the bamboo filament. There are other options out there that'll work.
Yeah, I've gotten comfortable. I ain't gonna lie.
David Pingle's asking any status update on the alien cell.
It still works. Like I still like it. I haven't gotten back around to doing a lot more videoing with it, but I'm wanting to do plenty of video. But yeah, I think I've done 2 videos with it so far, and it's still performing well. It's on my main line over here. That's why I put the S1 up in the attic for a while, is because this one actually has a bigger work area, and I'm not doing tumblers with the S1 anymore. So I moved it in here for my fully enclosed diode, and it's doing a good job. I like it. Like I said, there's still some tweaks need to be done with the software. I still every now and then I'll find a little bug here and there in the software, but it's stuff that can literally be fixed with a firmware push or a UI update. So. Cool. And you've gotten yours now, right?
Well, I wasn't going to say anything. Yeah. So I had some surprise shipments this week. I knew the CNC machine was coming, but then because I got a call, well, Saint Smart had said, "Hey, we'll arrange shipment," and I was waiting to see, like a notice from FedEx or UPS, but I got a call from the freight company saying, "Hey, we got a machine we got to deliver to you." I was like, "Oh," but I also got a shipment notice from UPS, and then I got a shipment notice from FedEx, and I wasn't 100% sure what they were. Now, you and I compared notes, and we realized that the UPS one was most likely the enclosures, and those came last Monday. So, like I said, that'll be getting on the table. But yeah, Wednesday the alien cell machine did show up via FedEx. I had to make sure I was here to sign for it. And so, yeah, it's the 40-watt unit like you have. From what I understand, they're through production of the first run. They've been shipping out all the Kickstarter machines, and I believe it's available to order. And I think they maybe have stock on hand or should have it shortly. So I should have something out here in a couple weeks on my kind of initial impressions on it. I basically got it unboxed just to make sure everything is working, and got it set up with their software. And I think this is the results of what I was able to do.
Yeah,
it worked fine.
That's as far as you've made it.
Yeah. So yeah, it definitely looks like a nicer machine. It does have a larger working area, but it's also it's like a big pancake because it's not that tall, but it's wide and it's deep. I actually had to bring my workbench out a little bit so I could get it connected to my exhaust system, which they're integrated fans, and that tube is nice, but it's not a 4-inch tube, and it's so tight to the frame that I can't just hook my 4-inch straight up to it. So I'm figuring out how to do that to get it hooked into my system. And it's also unfortunate in the fact that it's right in line with where, like, if I could hook my 4-inch pipe from my inline system straight to the machine, it'd be perfect because it lines up there. But this thing, you have to point either left or right. And so now I have to add this kind of loop and loop back kind of thing to get it hooked into and then a 90-degree turn. So it's not, if I had the laser and I was designing the exhaust system around it, no big deal. I would have moved things around, but
yeah,
I'm trying to shoehorn it into my existing space. But yeah, no, it's so far my experience with it has been fine. It's very responsive touchscreen on it. It goes through the whole calibration setup, very similar to a 3D printer where it does the kind of the vibration compensation and such. And so I'm excited to see, it's supposed to be a very fast machine, fast acceleration and such. And so from an engraving standpoint, it should be pretty good, like improvement over, your typical other lasers. So, well, no, I mean like other 40-watt lasers in its market. I think it'll be interesting to see, does it really?
It has some features that are cool. It's already, though, I find myself liking using it with their software better than I do Lightburn as far as running the machine. And that's pretty much the way that a lot of these machines are going nowadays with the camera integration. And like with the Alien Cell, it basically has a built-in nanny cam basically built into it, so you can like watch it from wherever. It reminds me a lot of like Bamboo Slicer, to where you can actually view the machine, while it's printing. It's kind of the same thing. They've got a camera in there that's set up. It's pretty nice. I like it so far. I'm working on a couple of project videos with it, but I've got to get through some backlog and get caught up. And it's been a little wild here lately. So a little crazy. I'm trying to scroll through these comments. If you asked a question and we missed it, by all means, feel free to post it again, because sometimes we're going back and forth through these comments. We miss them.
Here we go. Mark L. Baker, brand new here. Just bought the new F2 laser bundle. Have yet to receive it and need to know what the best safety glasses or goggles are to get. Canada here. Well, hello from Canada, my neighbors to the north.
Or south.
I suppose. Depending on Canada. Yeah, so the F2, I mean, it has the shroud around it. So if you're using it and it's enclosed, that should be fine. But if you're using any of the, like the slide extension or the rotary, yeah, you definitely want to have some goggles. I don't remember, did they send any with that? In any case,
I don't think so, to be honest with you. I don't recall getting any.
There are very few goggles that are sent with lasers that I trust. Now, some of them have been starting to send some better ones out. But the ones that both you and I have are from a company called Free Mascot, and they're available on Amazon. And they have a few different styles. So I'm going to drop that link in chat.
They have different wavelengths.
And so on them, you'll see that they have a rating of, so like this style, and I have these because they tend to fit over some prescription glasses. So these are rated for 190 to 550 and 800 to 1100 nanometers. So the nice thing is this will cover both your blue diode laser wavelength and also like your IR modules. So it's kind of a twofer. But if you're using a UV laser, actually these would cover UV lasers.
I think they go.
Those are like in the 300 range. But if you're using like a CO2, you need a different style. So, but these are well rated. Oh, they have an OD of 6+, and so the optical density they're rated higher than most others. So these are, I think when I got mine, they were around $40. I think they're maybe a little bit more now. No, actually they're $40 US anyway. And then, like I say, they have a few different styles. So those are ones I've been recommending for, I don't know, a few years now. I bought mine back, looks like in 2022. So I've been using them for 4 years. So
yeah, I've got a pair of just the 455s around here somewhere also. But these are the, like I said, the duals. These are everything from like 110 up to 500, and then they also cover the IR range as well. These are the same thing. There's like 100 up to 4 something, looks like 450 something. But these will cover the IR UVs. Like they're pretty versatile, and they're not all that expensive. They're not cheap, but they're not all that expensive either. The only thing that I can say is after you've had them for a couple of years, these little pieces right here like to slide off every now and then. So you'll have to put you some super glue on those. Because I've had to hunt mine before.
Yeah.
Questions, comment. Look at that, Ryan in the house over there.
Santa's Laser Engraver was commenting. I was in my local 3D shop and they have an A1 Mini for $200. I had to walk away since I had filament already and I would have had to relocate the 85X. The A1 Mini is it's a decent printer. It's a little miniature bed slinger like the A1, but I'll be honest, the price difference between that and the A1, I would just get the A1. You know, and if you can get a really good deal on, you know, something local or, you know, and you just need something for smaller prints, that's great. I will say that mine, it has more of a tendency to walk because it starts moving that bed around real fast and the head around really fast. And it's just a lighter weight, smaller machine. So I've noticed, especially on the IKEA shelf that I have it on that is real smooth. I'll start and all of a sudden it's like, you know, I come back an hour later and it's kind of canted to the right a little bit and maybe just slid back a little bit. So
what you saying is you need to like 3D print you some little feet to hold it still.
I need something to like lock it in place. But
yeah, because if you think about it, it's got the same head, but less mass to hold it still.
Yeah. So it performs very similar to the A1, just has a smaller working area. But the price difference between the two, unless you get the A1 Mini for a really screaming deal, or that's all you have space for, I would just go for the A1 at that point. But
yeah, Alex is asking best way to flatten slightly warped wood. It depends. Some wood is going to remain warped, and there ain't nothing you can do about it except cut it in small pieces. Sometimes what causes wood to warp typically is either getting wet or getting dry. One of the two. Either moisture has went into fibers and caused them to expand, or moisture has been withdrawn from fibers and caused them to contract. And sometimes it does both on the same sheet of material. One side's dried out, the other side got wet. Next thing you know, it's doing, you know, yoga. So if you can weight it and make sure that it is completely dry through and through, that is the best case. But like I said, sometimes due to things out of your control, some pieces are just going to warp. And all you can really do to mitigate it is just cut it in smaller pieces. Rather than throw away a sheet of material that you can't get to flatten out, just try cutting it in half. And if that doesn't work, cut it into quarters. And, you know, eventually the warp will either relieve itself because you'll cut those fibers that are pulling against each other. You'll cut that tension, or it'll just get small enough that it's not noticeable. So that's my advice, because you can't always fix warped material. It's especially plywood, because you can't it's not like a sheet of you know, a piece of saw milled material to where you can flatten it on a CNC or a planer or, you know, whatever. With plywood, you pretty much weight it and hope, but that's about all you got. Do not lay your plywood on concrete. Contrary to popular belief, concrete is like a sponge. Unless it's been sealed properly, and chances are, if it's in your house and it's been there for any length of time, the sealing is not going to be appropriate. But like in my shop, this slab is not sealed. If I set wood directly on this slab, it is going to raise the moisture content of that material, because the slab's going to pull moisture from the ground when it rains, and it's going to distribute it upward into that wood. So if you do have to lay material like flat sheets or whatever on the ground, try to at least take you some 2x4s and make you like a little miniature pallet of sorts to set it on, to get yourself about 3 or 4 inches of air gap between the material and the concrete.
Yep.
I learned that early on. I'd bring perfectly flat wood home, lay it on the concrete, come in here the next day, and it'd be doing yoga. And it's like, what is going on with my 2x4s? And then that's when it hit me. Even though I did put moisture barrier down when we poured this slab, it still has moisture in it and distributes it. So, but yeah.
DJ Scattered's asking any recommendations for rotary for the Omni One. They actually have their R5, which is more of a normal chuck style, and it doesn't require their extra box for it. So I'll put a link out there for that one. That's the one. I've got that one. I haven't done a whole lot with it because I was playing around with I had some weird glass. What were they? They were like champagne glasses or wine glasses, and I was having a little struggle with the convex, or it was
the slope.
Well, it was yeah, compound curves. That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
Because it's round this way and it's round that way. I was kind of struggling with that, but its functionality was really good. I've done a few other small things with it, some silicone rings and such. But it's your typical Chuck style rotary that you would like, very similar to like our Atom Stack ones that we like. They have a few others that are, they're smaller in form factor, but they also generally require a secondary box to make function. So it just adds a little bit bulk to it. But yeah, that R5 multi-rotary is kind of a nice one for that.
Yeah. Is that the one that you're talking about? Is that the one that kind of looks like the Atom Stacks and all that? It's the downscale version, or is it the one that looks like come off of a machining machine?
No, it's
because I've got the real heavy, like robust one that looks like it ought to be on a Tormac machine or something.
It's
that one. Yeah. I don't have that. I wish I did. I don't have that one.
So yeah, it works well for a variety of things. Now I will say, like this wine cup, that's gonna be a tricky thing with the.
I should say, doing that on a standard UV laser, you're not gonna you're gonna want to do some arrangements to that.
Yeah. But yeah, it works well with the.
It is the world's first too, by the way.
It's just not. I had another ad. I can't remember what it was for. It was some world's first 5-in-1 desktop something printer laser or something. I was like,
yeah. The most used phrase in 2025, world's first. I meant to show off my CNC projects earlier while we had some CNCers in the room. But you remember the sign that my wife hates? Or, well, she loves it, actually. Yeah. So I reinvented it. I made my own file, and I even turned it into a CNC file. So hang on. Let me go tell the story. Hang
on. Ran off.
All right. So I don't know exactly where we were at when I saw it, but we were somewhere, maybe Gatlinburg. I don't know where we were at, but we were in a store traveling somewhere. And I saw this sign, and at the time it was in color, and it had all the words. But I saw this sign, and I purchased it. And of course, Brandy was like, I think we were in Gatlinburg, and Brandy was like, "Oh my God, what are you going to do with that?" And I'm like, "I'm going to put it on the driveway because I think it's cool." And you can tell it's old. So I purchased this and I put it on the driveway. Well, this past year, as you can see, the sun, the weather, the fact that it's made out of cheap plastic, had taken its toll, and my sign was no longer legible. And Brandy was distraught over the fact that my sign was no longer legible, and she was nearly panicked that we would not have that sign. And so I took, and this is actually a project I did with the Alien Cell, and I used the camera and light burn to recreate it and make it into a laser file, and got it to where, I could make my own. And so this past week, I went one step further and took that laser file and made it into a CNC file so that I could resurrect the sign that Brandy loves so much. And so now it's on this nice little piece of oak. It's nice and finished, paint backfilled, and all that good stuff. So yeah, Brandy was very happy with that. But these are jobs that we were talking about the Genmitsu earlier. These are things that I've done with the you can't hardly see these 3D relief things, kind of hard to show on camera. But this is a deer in the woods. I wanted to paint the trees and stain the trees green and all that. And then I thought about how much time it was going to take me to do that. And I'm like, never mind. So I just went with wood. And then there's this leftover piece of maple that I had for building that flag. that I made into a weird bowl that you could put stuff in. Because that's all I come up with. Now, this is the very first time I've used Aspire to actually create a 3D relief. Very simple, but
so if I'm understanding right, it's a bowl.
Yes.
That you can put stuff in.
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure I understood that.
Yeah. So you could like you could put. I took and put some lemons in it, some fake lemons. Brandy said you could also put like bananas and stuff in it, but I put fake lemons in it, and it looked cool, like with fake lemons in it. I also see what else did I put in it. Oh, it could be used to hold your remote control on your coffee table. I mean, it could be. So, yeah. And also, this is how you know to change that you need to change the bag in your shop vac. When you cannot squeeze it, when it feels like you're squeezing someone's arm, it is time.
It's probably past time.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that my shop vac that I was using to clean up after the CNC had gotten really loud.
Yeah.
And yeah. But anyway, there you go.
Well, I just grabbed my other project that I was working on this weekend. So again,
what kind of project you got there?
The theme here is replacing the various art and decorations in my shop. So this was another one I found on the X
your shop or your office?
The office. Sorry about that. This is another one I found on the X Tools site, and so this is mostly made with True Flat.
Mostly.
There's one layer in there.
That new lime sherbet True Flat.
Well, so I had tried to. This is technically 5 layers. So the black layer is engraved with the mountains. That didn't come out as nice as I had hoped. So it's a little muted, but
it looks all right.
But the green layer, I tried to use the white True Flat and then I did a test with my trans tint water dye. I have a nice green color. And of course, our favorite acrylic paint markers. But it was just a little too, I don't know, neon-y. There's something about the color. It just didn't
natural.
Yeah, it didn't look natural for this. And considering we've got their other flavors.
What are you licking
flavors of wood, yeah. So I've got maple, walnut, and then their new one, this top layer is their cherry, which they came out with late last year.
I've got to get that stuff out and play with it some.
So I thought, hey, let's make it a nice multi-layer design. So it's a bear with the pine forest. There's a deer. There's a deer here, which this other bear is probably going lunch. So there's that, and then there's another deer over here. I don't know why they're not running the other way, but
Yeah, it looks like they're getting ready to attack that bear.
Yeah, they might be because their tails aren't up. So maybe they're elk that are hunting the little bear. Anyway, and this Boss Dog glue, we met them at Workbench Con. I really like this stuff. It dries clear. So it's a PVA glue. It's a wood glue. It dries clear and it dries fairly quickly. And it also works down to about 55 degrees. So I think I'm going to pick up more of this stuff and use it a little bit more. For things like this, it gives you a little bit of working time to get it in place. But if you have a little bit of squeeze out, it's not like yellow or white blob.
You ain't got to freak out and try to get it off.
I mean, you still want to take care of it, but it's not as noticeable. So anyway, it's the other cool project I did, and that was I didn't quite maximize the sheet of True Flat. I could have gone a little bit bigger, but I was also like, okay, this can't be too big. So I think it's about 18 inches wide or so.
All right, y'all having fun with my bowl comment. I'm just saying, I don't know why I made a bowl, but I had a piece of maple that was literally like this big. And so I was like, and it was like 2.5 inches thick. So I'm like, what could I make with a piece of maple that big? And I was like, I got to looking at the grain and I'm like, it would look really cool if I did a bowl. So I did a bowl. I almost got like really cocky and was going to do like a 2-sided, to where I could make this. And I was like, you know what? We're going to save that for someday to where I can put tabs in there and flip the material. We're going to save that for that. Because if I tried to do it without a big enough piece of material, I would just ruin a nice piece of maple. And so doing it this way, I felt like that was pretty good. And it worked out good too, because that gave me plenty of room, because I wanted to use these like screw on little feet for it instead of the adhesive ones, because whatever they put in this food safe stuff, you're not going to stick nothing to it. I don't know what kind of oil it is, but you will not stick an adhesive to the back of this. So yeah. So I just made it. I don't know what it's going to be used for yet. You know, who knows? You can put it in your keys in your entryway. It doesn't matter. It was just literally, I was testing this machine over here just to see, because I wanted to run it on some stuff that, you know, I felt like people could do with that machine. And this is a small project that's thick, but yet, you know, compact. So, and by the way, the bowl cut genie bit did awesome.
It's a good bit. It's one
it's amazing I can put a handle on it and call it a spoon.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, you
do a little inlay on the bottom there.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can do all. They could be literally for all kinds of things. You know, I don't know. I've even thought about using the UV laser and mapping it and doing like a honeycomb engraving in the bottom of it. But I was like, that kind of defeats it being food safe, because now you have grooves that
little trenches
we're going to get stuff into. So if I was going to use it for just a tray, you could, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Yeah.
You could do that and probably still put your fake lemons in there.
Yeah, the fake lemons didn't care. But yeah. And somebody was asking about the deer file. I just got this. I grabbed this on Etsy. I'm not gonna lie to you. These 3D files. Sometimes when I see one that I think is just cool and I like, it's $6. Could I go through the trouble? Maybe. I'm not that versed at Aspire yet. Well, I can do some minor changes and do some stuff with Aspire, but I don't have the patience to sit there and do this. I'd rather just pay the creator or the seller $6. I do try to make sure that the seller is an original creator or something. I mean, I try. I know you can't 100%. That's why, like we were talking about with the new CNC files that they've started. Hopefully, you'll know that that's actually, you know, somebody that's in the space that you're supporting. But until then, I try to do my diligence to get them from people. Like I said, it turned out really well. There's one little line, like literally the size of a hair right down across the deer's head, that for some reason you can see it. And I didn't see it when I sanded it, but then when I put the finish on there, it showed up. And so I don't know what caused that, but other than that, there were no places in there that required any sanding. I hit this with a plastic brush and sprayed it with clear. I mean, it come out really good with the machine. So, and the genie bit, the bowl bit genie, with I think I did 6% step over on that 1/2 inch, and that may be a little bit overkill, but I wanted to make sure that there wasn't a lot of sanding to do. But I did 6% step over, and it come out slick. No witness lines, no nothing.
Yeah, I mean, especially on things like that, it's like a one-off test kind of thing. You're letting the machine do the work. You're probably doing something on the side.
Oh yeah, I was.
Let the machine work rather than you.
Yeah, I was over here playing with this Creality A1 while it did that.
Yeah. But
and making shorts, because I like making shorts while the machine's running.
Dark Force Made says I probably made 15 catch-all trays when I first assembled my little Reno, then put an image on them with an F1. They sell well. Yeah, they do. I mean, and you can use simple 3/4 inch hardwood. They don't need to be too big. You can get creative with the different types of pockets and size, or even just a simple, 5 by 4 inch or whatever. Yeah, I mean, especially with a little bit of engraving on them, it's a good, usually a pretty good. People, if you can customize them, they're liking. People like those. A lot of people just love having a tray to catch things on there with their name or something on there. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing, and an easy way to kind of get some practice on your machine, and some you can kind of pre-make the trays, have them on hand, so when someone says, hey, I'd like a tray engraved, you can do the engraving part quick and throw some. I even finish a lot of those with just like a rub on oil. So
yeah, Yeah, this was like, I think one of the 30-20s or the 40-40s. This is actually epoxy filled. But yeah, I just do random things. Now this coaster has served me well because I've been using it now for a couple of years. But I've got little trays. I give them away a lot of times too, because you know how it is. You test in the machine, you're like, you know what? I got this little piece of material right here. I can make a little tray out of it. And then the next thing you know, you look around, you got like 19 trays. Like this one. I never even stained this one or finished it or anything. You got a box of them.
This is my
more visitors. I can't keep them. My visitors take them.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is I recently kind of, now some of this is like, you know, sample laser things and, you know, tiles and whatnot. But yeah, the catch-all trays like this, fairly easy to make, or even like little trivets and such. This was with that 1/2-inch bowl bit. This is just with the 1/4-inch Jenny bit.
I want to make one of those little waffle fry looking things. I hadn't done it yet.
Or the pumpkin carve. So, but yeah, like having some of these on hand if someone just stops over, and I can either give them something or give them an example of what things can do. Yeah, Mark's saying Vectrix Easy Create is a really great AI tool to generate those kinds of models at very reasonably priced. I took a quick look at it. I haven't played around with it much, but I know some people have made some fun things with that, and definitely something I want to play with. Of course, Carveco has their AI tools that they came out with. So a lot of them are adding in some of these design features into those CNC softwares. That it's nice because if you're not if you're not a CAD designer, even for 2D, let alone 3D design, you're kind of at the whim of what you can find on Etsy or through the file sites and such.
Yeah.
You know, so it's nice to have other options to be able to create some more unique or your specific need kind of stuff. So
cool. Yeah, I'm decent at doing like little 3D designs for, you know, parts and tools and stuff like that. It's the images that I struggle with. So like I said, a lot of times I'll buy those off of people that are already made.
Speaking of old posters,
look at
that water. Look at that water ring on there.
Yeah. It's been used. But yeah, what is it? Hightum? I think it is. Hightum.
Yep.
We met them at CES, and they sent me some credits for my account that I already had. They are basically, from what I understand, their AI tool is embedded in Xtool software, is what they said. So, you know, I think that has potential, as well as, like I said, I think Vectric and everybody's going to eventually have those tools embedded in their software if they don't already. But it's going to be one of those pay to play type things. And it's kind of like, you know, we were saying earlier, you don't always get what you want with that. And if you don't know how to do it, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. And so when you have a place like the cncfiles.com or whatever that they've got going, that, you know, these files are going to work. They were specifically designed for CNC, you know, you just add toolpath it and go. That does make it to where, like with me too, I would rather pay another $1 or $2 extra to know that this file was made for a CNC and not a resin printer. Because like with a CNC file, you can't have overhang. Like you can't. Like, well, I mean, I guess if you had like a keyhole bit or something, maybe you could figure out the tool pathing for it, but I'm not. You know, so
yeah, I think
there are things that need to be considered.
There's a lot of designs out there that you'll find that will say it's for lasers or CNCs. And this was one that was on the Xtool site. There were photos of it, and I scaled this up. But I'm looking at some of this fine little detail of this grass and such, and like the how tiny some of these little tree pieces are, and I'm going, who in their right mind thinks it's good to have this little sliver of a piece on these things?
Yeah, because if your lens is a little dirty, you're going to toast that.
Well, and even just gluing it together or handling it, it's a break point. And mind you, I scaled this up. So I think there's some designers that will put things out there that look good on paper, but they haven't tested them.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, look, hashtag Clax Bowl. Hey, we'll be auctioning this bad boy off for charity here for a while. You don't watch it. I actually did think about it. I was like, I gave them a flag. This is actually made out of the scraps from the flag I made. So I was like, I could just donate this. Somebody would like put something in it, some weird home. Next thing you know, you'd sit on the cover of Homes and Garden or something.
Okay, but if you do that, you gotta title it Clax Bowl, and then the description is it's good for holding things.
Yeah. Yeah, Mark's talking about it's good to use scrap. Let me show y'all how bad my wood hoarding problem
is. Mine's on full display back here.
I mean, I kept this. It's like, what am I going to do with this? This is actually a cutoff from a project I did the other day. I used a piece of 2.5 inch cedar slab. This is a cedar slab that I've had in this shop for 4 years, probably. Never used it. A buddy of mine come over and was like, hey, I need some award basically, but I want them to hold a basketball. Like I want to be able to set a basketball down in there and use it for like a display for a basketball. So, hey, we jumped off in Vectric and designed it. Well, even using the extended reach Jenny bit, I couldn't reach all the way through it. So I wound up leaving just a little bit of material right here at the bottom. You can see it's like 1/4 inch at the bottom, and went ahead and cut them out. And then I took them over to my bandsaw, cut them off with the bandsaw, and then hit them with a flush bit on my hand router. But yeah, so I didn't want to throw this away. I was like, I might could make a spoon or something out of that. You know, I mean, it's a good piece of cedar. I could set that in the CNC and make a spoon, or at least some chopsticks. I mean, you never know.
Yeah. Make a mallet handle out of it.
I mean, you never know what I might come up with it.
Although I don't know if cedar's
Now the sniffles been out in that weather today, dealing with that water.
Yeah, Sean says pen blanks. It would be a really big pen or many small ones.
That's what I should do. I should make a huge pen, like one that you got to have 2 hands to write with it.
I mean, I think I still have some.
I'd have to use like a marble for the ballpoint.
Well, no, you can still put a regular size pen tip on it.
Yeah, I guess.
I've got some of those. I've got a small benchtop lathe that I got into turning pens for a little while.
That's what I need to get Billy. Billy's talking about he's wanting to do stuff on the lathe. That's what I need to get him to do is make a really large, like an insanely large ink pen.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got? Any comments, concerns? What else we got?
There's one toothpick out of it.
By the time I got through, I'd have to go empty my dust collection, and I'd come back over here and have something like this big. That's what it felt like when I was doing this bowl. Did you see where I buried that Jinmitsu? Because the dust collection, the longer bits, that dust boot just don't cut it.
Yeah.
And so it was literally like you could see the bowl sitting in there, but it was like it was in a pile of sawdust. I did a short on it. It was funny. But yeah, somebody was asking earlier about my alligator. I got one of them still hanging in the shop. The other two were donated to an auction. I've got another event. So when is that? Next Thursday? This coming up Thursday is the Flutter event, which I donated a flag to. Maple flag, might I add.
Speaking of events, we've been talking about the Next Level Maker Conference in August.
Yes, and I'm pretty much set to go.
Well, they just put the link there. They opened up the you can buy early bird tickets.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
If you register for it before March 15th, I think it's like $50 off the full conference. Now they have different levels.
What's the prices? I didn't ever see those.
It's $399 is the normal price, but their early bird pricing is $329 plus a $12.54 fee, so it ends up being $341. Now that's the all access. You get into the general sessions, the breakout classes, meals, the vendor room. And then you get videos of all the sessions and classes once they're ready. So, if you can't make them on the wall and you wanted to, you'll get access to those. Now, if you just want to go and kind of hang out, network, and check out the vendors, you can do that for free. You still need a ticket, or you can pay for the vendor room and meals. So breakfast, lunch, Friday and Saturday. So that one's $150 some odd dollars. So, I mean, if you want to go and just hang out, check out the vendors, it's technically free. I mean, you'd have to pay for a hotel or whatever. But if you want the full conference, all the classes, access afterwards, it's right now it's $341, but I believe it'll be $399 after, I think it's March 15th is what they said was the cutoff for early bird. So early registration is, where is it? I want to try and make sure that's accurate, but so anyway, I'm still looking to see if it'll work for my schedule or if I have to like do a cannonball flight down there.
Well, I plan on going. I think I'm going to drive over, maybe make it a day and a half, make it like a drive for 6-7 hours, get close to where the event is, and then camp over there. Or I may just go ahead and drive it all the way through. It's only like a 10-hour drive from where I'm at. So that's doable in a day. So we'll see. But I may have tag-alongs. I don't know. Klein mentioned he wouldn't mind going. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be doing the classes. I don't know what all I want to do. I'll have to look and see what all they got because I don't know what I would want to go to class-wise. I think I would rather just see the vendor demos and stuff like that maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, so they do have a listing of some of the presenters and the topics, and they'll be putting out more of that as time goes on. So it does kind of spread out into things. They've got a couple specifically on Lightburn, one on Xtool Studio, some stuff on apparel printing, AI image creation, sandblasting, marketing, pricing, UV printing, 3D printing, using Shopify, using Etsy, doing stuff at craft shows, packaging, branding, and even one on making hats. So there may be some useful classes for you. Now, I've gone to some of these conferences in the past where I spend all my time just networking with people and networking with vendors. And so it's nice when they have an option where if you don't want to attend the classes, but you want to be, there and hanging out with people and talking with the vendors and the manufacturers, it's nice to have that option as well.
Yeah, because that's when we went to Workbench Con. I think there was I only went to like 2 of the classes, and one of them was because it was a Vectric class, and Vectric was teaching it, and I was like, I want to go see what they got to say. So I think mine's going to be more of a networking type situation than it will be a training per se. So I'm going to look at it and see, but I do plan on going. I do plan on being there. So to be honest with you, if it saves me money just getting into the vendor area and stuff, that's a win-win in my book. Because like I said, I want to do more of the networking, going to see other folks, because I know there's going to be some folks in our space that'll be there. I've heard several of them talking about going. So I think it'd be a good opportunity. And it's, like I said, it's not that far from me. So
yeah,
we'll see.
No, it definitely looks good. It's going to be geared towards a lot of the stuff that, we talk about here in the Facebook groups and our channels and such. There'll be other content creators. I know Kim and Garrett are one of the presenters.
Are they? Cool.
And then Patrick, I think we met him with the Xtool group.
Patrick, which one?
Patrick Campanale or whatever.
I think he may have been at the booth. Yeah.
So I think we've met him before and such, but yeah, it's on my radar. Like I say, I can't quite commit to it yet because I just need to see it. It's unfortunately it's the end of the first week of fall semester. So like I say, I may have to do something where I work the first half of the week and then hop a flight down and hang out Friday, Saturday kind of thing. I
was going to let you know my Uber rates are kind of high.
Well, it is only 10 minutes from the airport, so
Well, lucky you. But no, I plan on going. Like I said, my only thing is going to be, you know, I'm not really class heavy. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's just not really my unless I see a topic that I find interesting, and then it's going to be really interesting for me to spend extra money to go to it. But yeah, the network and the hanging out, the being over there, maybe getting to go, hang with folks that enjoy the same stuff in their shops that I enjoy. That's what I want to go for. So we'll see.
Well, our friend Cody made it, and he missed your bowl. That's
man, Cody, you missed me bragging on the bit, man. Look at that. Look at no sanding hardly. Like I did sand it because I couldn't not sand it, but this is maple, and so I didn't want to sand it much because maple doesn't like sandpaper.
No.
So yeah, it turned out really good. I did a short about the bowl bit, and you can go look at the video and see that there's not. I mean, I couldn't believe there wasn't at least a little bit of witness lines. I was a little worried I was going too much on the step over with the bowl bit. I'm like, is there really such a thing though as too much? I mean, because it's either going to cut or it's not going to cut. And so I ran it, and then I did the estimated time, and I'm like, okay, I can deal with that. So I went with it.
Too much step over, and you'll have lines. Too little, you're just wasting time.
Well, that's what I meant. Too high of LPI, so to speak. But yeah, I think I nailed it pretty good. I don't forget what Cody had set in there as the default, but I wound up going with I think it was 5 or 6%, but it turned out good. Cool. It probably could have been done a little faster with less, but I was like, I'm going for smooth. Yeah, so Cody must have saw the video. He said, thanks for the public announcement. Yeah, that bit made a mess. That little dust shoe was not prepared for that long shank freaking bowl bit.
Yeah, that's where the secondary shop vac comes in and spot cleans during the job.
Well, I ain't gonna lie. I was trying to see how big of a mess I could make, and I had to express my concerns with you about the rails on the side of that machine. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to let it make a mess, and I'm going to see if it causes any problems. And it had a lot of debris got onto the rails, but from what I can tell, it didn't cause any issues. I cleaned it up after that job was done, ran the next job. And so far, I mean, it bothers my OCD that chips are getting there, but it don't seem to be affecting the performance of the machine.
Cool.
So, yeah. Yeah, Dark Forest said he dug out a box of DDR5 and DDR4, and he's going to sell it and buy a car. Yeah, I've got an old laptop sitting in there that's got 32 gigs of RAM in it. I'm sitting on a gold mine because the laptop don't work.
It's not cheap right now, unfortunately. Speaking of AI, we all love to use it, but it's causing some problems.
Yeah, Chris is asking, is there an option to swap out the bottom of a dust shoe for extended bits? Some dust boots come with longer bottom parts. Like on my Shapoko, my dust collection on my Shapoko is adjustable to where you can adjust it to where the bristles touch the top of the material, and the spindle just goes up and down on its own. So they're not connected. With this one, it's just a generic one that clamps to the spindle, and so it goes up and down with the spindle. Well, when you're using a long shank like a extended reach or that bowl bit that has kind of a long stem on it, and you need that stem to be able to get down in there and so forth, you end up with the bristles being way above the bit, and so that bit's just slinging rooster tails like every time it turns. So it's it's part of it. I mean, yes, could you fashion something to work? Yeah, maybe. But the problem with the longer bristles is the longer the bristles, they get to where they get into the bit. And the next thing you know, you got bristles around your bit. And if you make the plastic piece too long to where it comes down too far, now when it goes into those deep cuts, now your dust shoe is hitting your material. So it's kind of unless you have a fixed dust boot, there's really not a good solution for it, in my opinion. Like unless you do like Steve said and just walk by it every 5 minutes with a shop vac and suck up all the excess and let it keep going, which is generally what I'll do. But I was having fun with that one to see how dirty I could get it.
Yeah, I mean, you could, if you needed to, you could make a spacer in that one because there's just magnetically held together. But like you mentioned, you run into that issue of your bristles are either going to be pushing too much into the material, and one of two things is going to happen. It's going to cause bit interference because those bristles are going to get pushed into where your bit's going, or you can actually, if your bristles are too stiff,
they can stand up on it.
Yeah, it can cause some issues where you could break something. So it's always nice having the one where it floats and the spindle goes up and down through it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way to go. And looking at the machine, it wouldn't take a whole lot to design one because there's screw holes in the back of that thing, I guess, for some other additional parts to be mounted that you could make one like some by Shapoco and mount it to the back of it. So, but and if I was going to keep this machine long term, I would probably do that. I will say this little Genmitsu has higher Z clearance than my Shapoco. Like it's tall. Like you can throw a slab under there. That's the one thing I will give it. It like my Shapoco, the material, my gantry would have hit the material that I was doing on this machine. And so that's another thing that's not really helping the whole dust collection system is the fact that we're so high off the bed that it's throwing it like over the sides of the machine out onto the table. But yeah, it's cool.
Yep. Well, getting awfully close to our 2-hour mark.
Now you go check on my water, make sure I ain't got no drips. I'm messing with you and I jinxed myself. I was giving you a hard time about having to shovel snow, and I was told Brandy, I was like, how crazy is it that I was messing with Steve about shoveling snow, and here I am shoveling mud? Because I mean, it was sloppy mud where that water line had broke.
Yeah.
It looked like fresh concrete.
I'd rather shovel snow than digging out a water main that's leaking on me.
Yep.
So,
well, I appreciate it. Oh, look at that, Cody. Cody done dropped some money in there. I hear you. Appreciate it. You ain't gotta do all that. I'll be ordering some bits before long because I've been running the bejesus at that extended reach. I don't know what the life expectancy of that thing is, but all these 3D cars that I've done this week, I've used that extended reach, and it's got some miles on it.
Well, if you're keeping your speeds and feeds in check and your chip rate, should be good.
I think I am. That extended reach, I find the extended reach is a little more musical than the rest of them because of the extended reach. It gets a little loud. Like I can't find the sweet spot to where it gets quiet. Like it sings no matter what I do with it. Now the bowl bit, it's quiet. It didn't hardly make any noise, but it's because it's the mass of that bowl bit is just so big. But yeah, that extended reach though, that thing will talk to you when it's cutting. Oh,
yeah, cool.
But enjoyed it. Anybody got any last minute questions, comments, concerns?
Ideas for Clack Bowl?
Y'all want to see Steve make a bowl this week? Hey, that's a good little bowl. I mean, I could eat cereal out of it. It's watertight, mostly. It's been sealed with one of those little sample bottles of somebody's butcher block oil that we get from time to time.
Oh, you know what? We didn't have the comments scrolling this time.
Do I know?
We didn't have the live comments on stream.
Oh, did we not?
Yeah, it's just sorry about that, Diamond State. Yeah, we normally have it going on there so you can see everybody's. We just forgot to click that button.
Yeah, it's you have to engage it every time, and yeah, our bad. We'll do better next time, guys. Yeah, I should have mentioned it sooner. Nobody was paying attention, but yeah, it's hopefully it's going to be a busy week around here. I do got to finish up my plumbing job tomorrow. I'm going to leave it uncovered through the night and just make sure I have no leaks tomorrow. And then I'll start putting dirt back in this hole, which it hadn't been too long ago that I replaced that regulator. And I think that's why it broke so easily, because that the dirt was freshly disturbed and it let that thing go down. But I'm gonna go get me some T-posts this time, and I'm gonna drive T-posts up around it, so hopefully nobody runs over it. It's never happened. I've lived here for 25 years. It's never happened, but it did this week. So we'll see.
Great Vikings asking what kind of heater am I using in the garage, and freezing out, and he's freezing out in mine with the 2 small portables. Yeah, the portable heaters, especially like the propane ones, they're okay, but they also introduce moisture, which can cause some issues there. So if you can get like a direct vent to where the combustion cycle, it's drawing air from the outside and it's exhausting straight outside, but all the heat stays on the inside. That works a lot better, and usually they're scaled up a little bit better, depending on where you're at and what your city and code and your insurance company cares about. You can get something as, you can get some propane ones, or there's like the diesel heater ones, or there's some natural gas ones, just depending on what you have available to you. But yeah, having a little higher output forced air, that's not, I don't like to I don't like to use the air inside the air. I don't like to combust inside the shop for a variety of reasons. So having one of those kind of direct vent kind of setups is the way to go. It's a little more efficient and a little safer to use.
Well, definitely something to look into. You should do a video on heating your shop, because I mean, after all, you Southern Canadians know how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg, I had some little water today. Had to break out the muck boots for a little while to keep from getting my feet all wet and cold. The bad part was when I first found it, the box that the meter's in was slap full of water, and so I had to reach down in there and feel to find the valve. And you talk about some cold water, that was cold. I was like the polar plunge with my arm.
Okay, mister, it's going to be 70 degrees there in 2 days.
Now, next week it'll be great, but it was cold this morning. It was 18 degrees here last night, man. It's like Arctic weather up here. That's what we got going on. But anyway, I guess that's going to be about it, guys. So, like I said, if you are thinking about going to Texas in August, might be there. Cody, if anybody else is going to go. So, but that's it. So we'll probably be riding out there. And I know I'm going to, more than likely, if nothing comes up, Lord willing, I plan on being there. So we'll see how that goes. But hopefully Steve can show up, even if I have to pick him up at the airport. I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't mind paying $50 for me to come pick him up from the airport and bring him back to the motel.
I'm pretty sure an Uber is going to be cheaper than $50.
Well, we'll see. We'll work all that out when we get a little closer to time. But anyway, y'all have a good one, and I'll let y'all go where I can go in the house and get warm. My heater's done went off.
All right. Well, we'll see you, everyone.
Later.